So we have to find some way to come to an agreement between men and women and find some kind of desirable arrangement. But there is this very strong tendency. Maybe maybe it might not be all women or necessarily most women, but there's enough of a tendency among women that there's a very strong push in the direction of using certain methods to address, to regulate behavior that are not really consistent with the classical liberal understanding of free speech and so on. Now, on my view, this is certainly, I'm not saying the equality thesis and the response to the equality thesis is the only important thing that's happened in the last 50 years, right? So there are lots of other things that are happening, lots of other trends that are interacting with what I say is the core of wokeism. But the feminization of the institutions is certainly an important phenomenon that's going on, which influences the way that wokeism is expressed. That would be my view. But on your view, I think you might place more importance on feminization of institutions as a cause of wokeism per se.
Well, possibly. I mean, I did try to emphasize in my article that I didn't actually disagree with anything you said in that regard. It was just a slightly different degree of emphasis on different factors. I mean, as I mentioned at the beginning, I basically agree that the acceptance of racial environmentalism by elites is causally related to the rise of wokeness. But in the case of feminization, I do think it's very important and largely exogenous, or at least partly exogenous. In other words, it's an independent factor that also contributed to the emergence of this phenomenon, and that perhaps might have been sufficient by itself to cause.
So I think the growth of human rights and international humanitarian law is in large part a reflection of females becoming increasingly dominant in these fields.